Welcome back, radiant soul of Leo. I'm Luna Celestine, your cosmic mirror and your companion through every season of becoming. And today, we begin with a quiet truth, that what lies ahead is not ordinary. It's not just another week on the calendar. It's something rare, something sacred, something that only appears once in a lifetime. The last week of June 2025 isn't just marked by time. It opens a door, a quiet, precise moment when everything you've ever believed about your limits begins to fall away. And what rises in its place is what has always lived deep inside you. Your fire, your brilliance, your knowing that you were meant for more. Not because you are trying to prove something, but because that truth has always pulsed beneath your skin. Maybe you've already felt the edge of it. That subtle shift in the air. That quiet tension under the surface that tells you something is moving, something is approaching. Like the way the sky goes still before a storm. Like the way your body knows before your mind can explain. That's not your imagination. That's your spirit picking up on the change. Because what's coming isn't subtle. It isn't gradual. It's a cosmic turning point. A moment that won't wait for perfect conditions or perfect confidence. It arrives because it's time. And in just a moment, I'll show you exactly how this week becomes the beginning of everything you've quietly hoped was possible. Not through effort, not through force, but through the kind of timing only the universe can orchestrate. Let's begin. There are moments in life that arrive with such quiet certainty that whether or not you feel ready becomes irrelevant. The last week of June is one of those moments. It does not ask for permission. It does not wait for preparation. It simply arrives because the time has come. The universe in all its wisdom has aligned events, energies, and encounters that will mark a clear turning point in your story. You may have sensed it in dreams, in passing thoughts, in the way people speak to you lately, like they see something different, something brighter. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. And whether you feel fully prepared or not, this week steps forward with the force of inevitability. It is here to move you forward, because staying still is no longer an option. And at the heart of it all is the simple, powerful truth. You were never meant to live small. You weren't born to shrink, to apologize for your light, or to hide your strength, just to make others comfortable. There is a quiet but firm call now, not to become someone new, but to return to who you've always been, underneath the self-doubt, the restraint, the roles. This week doesn't demand perfection. It calls for honesty. It calls for you to stand in your own presence and say, "This is me," fully, clearly, unapologetically. For too long, you may have mistaken humility for playing small, but true humility isn't denying your power. It's understanding that your power is meant to serve. And now, Leo, it's time to let it serve. Let it shine. Let it lead. Because when you rise, you give others permission to rise with you. Opportunities, when they come, don't always arrive with fanfare. But during this week, they won't need to. You'll feel them in your bones before they even take shape. There will be conversations that feel different, invitations that seem to carry more weight, and moments that, at first glance, might look ordinary, but hold within them a quiet power to shift the course of your life. These opportunities will not trickle in, they will come in waves. Some will be subtle, soft, like a gentle nudge forward. Others will be undeniable, appearing with such timing and clarity that you will have no choice but to recognize that something greater is orchestrating it all. This is not about being lucky, it's about alignment. The recognition you receive this week, whether through praise, unexpected attention, or a meaningful encounter, is not a surprise to your soul. It is a reflection of what you've already been becoming. For so long, you may have wondered if anyone truly sees the effort, the depth, the passion you carry. You may have given so much of yourself, quietly, without asking for applause. And now, the applause is coming, not because you demanded it, but because your energy has become impossible to ignore. These new connections, these unexpected chances, they aren't random. They're a response, a cosmic echo. The world is beginning to mirror back what you've been holding inside all along: worth, power, and potential. You're not being offered these openings because someone is doing you a favor. You're being offered them because you are finally in resonance with your own truth. This is the universe affirming you in the language of timing, of synchronicity, of people and paths that arrive exactly when they should. And the only thing you're being asked to do now is say yes, not from fear, not from doubt, but from the quiet knowing that this, all of it, is yours to receive. As your light grows stronger, as your energy becomes more aligned with truth and purpose, not everyone will be able to walk beside you, and that is not a failure. It is a natural unfolding. The path ahead requires clarity, and clarity sometimes means letting go. During this week, you may begin to notice subtle shifts in the way certain people respond to you. There may be a discomfort in their presence, a quiet tension in the way they speak, or even a sudden distance that you cannot quite explain. These moments are not rejections, they are releases. Some connections were formed from an older version of you, a version that needed to be small, agreeable, or unseen in order to feel safe. But that version is no longer leading your life, and so the relationships that were rooted in that version must either evolve or dissolve. This can be tender. You may feel sadness, confusion, or even guilt as these shifts begin to happen. But trust that this clearing is sacred. The universe does not take without giving, and as these old ties loosen, new ones will emerge, ones that do not ask you to shrink, but invite you to expand. You will begin to attract people who resonate with your truth, who meet your energy without fear or competition, and who see your rising not as a threat, but as a shared celebration. These are the ones you've been waiting for. The soul-level connections that feel like home not because they are familiar, but because they recognize your light as something they've known all along. So do not chase those who are drifting. Let them move as they need to. And instead, open yourself to the beauty of the space they leave behind, because into that space, something far more aligned is ready to arrive. Something honest, something mutual, something worthy of who you are now. There's a myth that's quietly woven into the fabric of how we've been taught to grow. The idea that we must be fully prepared, fully healed, fully confident before we say yes to the things that scare us, the things that stretch us, the things that ask more of us than we think we can give. But Leo, the truth is much softer and much more liberating. You do not have to be perfect to be ready. You do not have to feel fearless to move forward. Readiness is not something that arrives before the opportunity. It's something that awakens within you as you step into it. During this week, you may be presented with openings that feel too big for the version of yourself you've known up until now. An offer, a responsibility, a conversation, or even a realization that asks you to become more than who you were yesterday. And in those moments, your old doubts may rise. The ones that whisper that you're not qualified, that you'll mess it up, that you need more time. But those voices are echoes of a past that was built on hesitation. This new chapter doesn't require your perfection. It simply asks for your presence. Growth, real growth, is forged in motion. You do not become the person who can handle it before it comes. You become that person in the act of rising to meet it. And the universe in its deep wisdom knows this. That is why the opportunities arriving now are not tests, they are invitations. They are not given to measure your worth, but to confirm it. Every step you take into the unknown this week will shape you, not into someone new, but into someone more fully yourself. So let go of the pressure to be ready in the way you once thought was required. Readiness in this chapter looks like willingness. Willingness to learn, to adapt, to receive. Willingness to trust that what is arriving is not too much, but just enough. to help you grow into who you've always been meant to become. And that is more than enough. This week is not just a turning point, it is a return, not to an old life or an outdated version of yourself, but to something deeper, something older than fear, older than self-doubt, older than the masks you've learned to wear. It is a return to your essence, to the truth of who you are when all the noise quiets, when all the striving pauses, and when you allow yourself to simply be. For so long, you may have chased worth through achievement, validation, or belonging. You may have measured your value by how others responded, by what you accomplished, or by how well you fit into spaces that were never made for your full light. But not anymore. This week, something shifts. It may happen in a single moment, or it may unfold in gentle waves. But the truth will become unmistakable. You no longer need to prove anything to be enough. The recognition you've longed for will not come because you finally became what the world wanted. It will come because you finally stopped trying. And in that surrender, your true self begins to rise. Not the curated version, not the version that was edited to be more acceptable or less intimidating. The real you. The version that has always existed beneath the layers. The one who remembers who they were before they were told who to be. In that remembering, doubt begins to dissolve. You'll no longer look outward for mirrors that reflect your value. You'll feel it, quietly but powerfully, in your own presence. You'll feel it in the way you walk into a room, in the way your voice no longer trembles when you speak your truth, in the way your boundaries hold firm without apology. This is not the arrival of ego. This is the soft, steady return of self. And once you taste that clarity, once you inhabit your worth, not as a costume but as your natural state, it becomes impossible to go back. You stop negotiating with your light. You stop second-guessing your place, because you finally remember you were never missing anything. You were simply waiting for the moment you could come home to yourself, fully, freely, and without hesitation. This week is that moment. Welcome home, and so, beloved Leo, as this sacred week begins to unfold, I invite you to walk forward. Not in haste, not in fear, but in presence. Everything that is rising now is not asking you to become someone new. It's asking you to remember, to return, to reclaim the light that has always been yours. I do not offer predictions. I offer remembrance, because deep down, you've known this moment was coming. You've felt it in the quiet, in the restlessness, in the dream that refused to die, and now it is here. So breathe with me. Trust what is shifting. Let yourself receive without apology. Let your voice rise without hesitation, and above all, stay true to what you feel, because that is where your power lives. I am Luna Celestine, your mirror, your witness, your voice in the dark reminding you that the light has always been within you. This is your time, this is your truth, and this is only the beginning. Stay luminous. I'll meet you in the next chapter. And so, beloved Leo, as we close this sacred message, I ask you not to rush away, but to sit with what has stirred within you. Let the truth of it settle into your bones, not as something distant or mystical, but as something profoundly real and already alive inside you. This week is not just another passing cycle. It is a call, a cosmic unfolding, and the only thing it asks of you is that you stop holding yourself back from the life you were always meant to live. Not a life of pretending, not a life of waiting, but a life fully grounded in your essence, in the raw, radiant brilliance that has always been your birthright. There is no more need to negotiate your worth, or to perform for approval. The world is not waiting for a version of you that is smaller or safer. It is waiting for the true you, bold, honest, whole. I want you to understand something gently but clearly. The shifts arriving now are not random. The people entering your life, the doors swinging open, the soft inner knowing that something is changing, All of it is evidence that you are stepping into alignment. And in that alignment, your life begins to respond to your truth with breathtaking speed and precision. You do not need to do more, achieve more, or prove more. You simply need to stay close to your heart. You need to trust the path, even when it's unfamiliar, because everything that is being revealed now was never outside of you. It was only waiting for your permission to unfold. I, Luna Celestine, have seen this path many times in many lives. The moment when a soul stops running from its own light and begins to walk with it, hand in hand. And I tell you with all certainty, once you say yes to that light, there is no going back. Not because you won't be tempted, not because the world won't still ask you to dim, but because you will have tasted something too true to forget. The taste of freedom, the taste of your own power, the taste of finally belonging to yourself. So as this week begins, I invite you to move slowly but with intention. I invite you to notice the signs, honor the pull in your chest, and answer the call not with perfection, but with presence. Let go of the fear of being too much. Let go of the belief that you must shrink to be loved. And most of all, let go of the idea that your greatness is something you still have to earn. It has always lived within you. Now is simply the time to let it breathe. This is not the end of your journey. It is the first real step into the version of your life that finally feels like home. Stay luminous, my dear Leo, and know that I'll be right here, watching the stars with you as the next chapter begins.